Hello guys and welcome to this week's Nostalgia Film Podcast. This week I'm joined by Joseph Akers and the one, the only, Mark Ellis.
Mark Ellis is in the room, people.
It's good to be here with you guys, and the nostalgia thing makes sense because I remember when I used to try to stay up after my parents went to bed. I'd try to stay up to watch Eddie Murphy Raw on Showtime, and if I made a sound, then I was going to get grounded. So I can sympathize with you a little bit.
Thanks. Yeah, I have to be extremely quiet because I've been threatened by my mum. She said she's going to throw my laptop out the window if she catches me, so anyway. Joe, what are we going to be doing this episode?
We're going to be asking questions to Mark, and then we're going to be reviewing Monsters University and a bad film. So quite a short episode, but we'll get... Okay, so we'll start off with the questions. Alright, so Mark, what has been your favourite summer movie this year?
Great opening question, gentlemen. For the summer, I would have to say we actually just released our top 10 favorite movies of the summer on my website, schmoesknow.com, like each member of our podcast did. And it was really cool to see how many different movies people liked and didn't like and who was on what list. For me, my favorite movie was Elysium, man. It came in late in August, and it just had everything that I want to see in not just a summer movie, but a movie in general. Like, the sci-fi elements were great, the action was awesome, and it had a little bit of social commentary, but I don't think it went over the top with that. So I thought it was a perfect blend of everything. Did you guys get a chance to see that yet?
No. It isn't out here yet.
It is out here, but obviously over here we have different age ratings to you guys over there, so like, I'm not actually old enough to go and see it, but I will try and watch it online.
You're not old enough to see it yet.
No. I wanted
Okay,
it.
well...
I saw Kick-Ass 2 on the internet, but...
We probably shouldn't be saying that on the internet either. I like Kick-Ass 2 a lot, actually. August was really a good month for me watching movies. I liked a lot of movies that came out in August, but Elysium takes the cake.
Did you see After Earth, Mark?
I did see After Earth, and I'd be interested to hear your guys' opinion on it because I was one of the very few people that enjoyed watching that movie. I actually gave it a fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes. I liked them. I didn't love it, but I thought it was a good movie.
Mark?
Uh-oh.
I think it's one of the worst movies of all time.
Yeah, I have to agree with Joe on that one.
Well,
it was so boring.
But then again, me and Joe aren't a big fan of the movie Avatar, so,
Yeah, I liked Avatar. I hung in for a while. Avatar, to me, I don't care how big and, effects heavy and epic adventure-y your movie is. If it's too long, it's too long. And the last half hour of Avatar, I just got sick of it. I just felt like I was watching, one of my... when you're watching your friend play a video game and it just gets boring after a while? That's how I felt watching the end of Avatar. But After Earth, I thought was a cool survivalist kind of adventure. I mean, it wasn't Castaway by any stretch of the imagination, but it was, I dug it.
Fair enough.
I can kind of understand why you did, though. But I didn't really like it. But
No, good, man. You should have your opinions. I'm glad we could have our first fight and we're still buddies.
I'm friends with Mark Ellis. Yay!
Welcome to the club. It's very exclusive.
Yes.
I'm not sure if you would have this, but this is kind of an out of the blue question, but what's your favorite movie of all time? A lot of people don't have one, and...
Yeah, I mean, when you ask somebody their favorite movie of all time, it's funny. You ask them, hey, what is your favorite movie ever? And they always give you a list of 20 movies. And you're like, okay, narrow it down to one. My favorite movie of all time is, depending on what day it is, it's one of the Star Wars films from the original trilogy.
Oh, nice, yeah.
Some days I wake up and it's Empire. Usually, more often than not, it's actually Return of the Jedi is my favorite movie of all time. So when I answer that question, I always say, if you're asking me for my favorite non-Star Wars film of all time, I would have to go Jaws. I think it's just such a well-made movie, and it's, again, you still get John Williams' music, so that would be my answer. If I can't play the Star Wars card, then I got to go Jaws.
I have that on my computer. That's an awesome movie.
I got it on Blu-ray. But then again,
I've got the digibook.
I found a Blu-ray which is almost impossible to find for really, really cheap. I actually found Terminator 2 Judgment Day on Blu-ray.
Yeah, great movie. Did you love it?
Yeah, it's my favorite film of all time.
Well done, man. I got a funny story about Terminator 2 because I saw that when I was a kid, and I had no business being in an R-rated movie, but for a couple summers there, for whatever reason, in Williamsburg, Virginia, they just did not care at the movie theater. They're like, fine, you look, like a competent little kid who's not going to take this too seriously. So they let me and my buddy in to see Terminator 2, and man, we were just blown away by everything, by the effects, by the apocalyptic story, and it was Schwarzenegger. I mean, just in his prime, man. That was just one of my favorite theater experiences of all time.
I haven't got around to watching it on Blu-ray yet, but I've seen the actual DVD, so
It's really good, man. And I don't know if you've seen the first Terminator, but that Christian, my buddy on Schmoes Know, actually likes the first Terminator better than T2, but I think T2 Judgment Day blows all the other Terminators away.
Yeah, definitely.
I think honestly, I think T3's the best.
T3, the ending kind of let me down just a little bit, but there's that car chase when he's hanging on the side of the truck for 20 minutes. That scene's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, but obviously my favorite's T2. I mean, that movie is so kick-ass. It's not funny.
Yeah, and it was just a great thing to watch, those effects, be able to be used, the liquid metal stuff. It was really one of the evolutionary movies as far as special effects go. And then Jurassic Park came out a couple years later and just blew everything else out of the water. But T2 was a landmark movie, man.
Yeah. So another out of the blue question: what's your favorite animated movie, Mark?
Favorite animated movie of all time. That one's a little bit easier because as much as I'm loving what Pixar has done, what their revolution has been about the last, almost 20 years, I guess, since the first Toy Story came out, my favorite animated film of all time is still The Lion King.
Nice.
I think it's just such a perfect story to tell. About this kid who's just, he just doesn't really know what he's doing with his life, and he ends up in the deep jungle. He probably does some illicit substances with his two new friends, Timon and Pumbaa, and he comes back and he ends up, being the Lion King. So, it's one of those ones that, as a guy, you don't want to admit, but you get a little misty-eyed every time you watch that movie.
Yeah.
So, how about you guys? Give me your top animated of all time.
Toy Story 2.
Yes, that's
wow, that was
mine.
quick.
He stole mine. I swear
both of you guys, it's Toy Story 2, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that better than the first and third. I don't know why. They're both still amazing films, but the third one, wow.
Yeah, I grew up watching, obviously when I was a kid, we had Disney was really knocking it out of the park when I was a child with their classic animated films. You had, I never really got into The Little Mermaid, but Aladdin came out and The Lion King came out, and even Beauty and the Beast. Those were just three of my favorite movies of all time, not just animated, but just films of all time. And then for Pixar to come along with Up and The Incredibles and the Toy Story movies, there's just, every time I go see an animated movie, it's I never get that excited about it, but I always leave the theater really happy and just appreciative of how good the movie was.
Yeah, have you seen The Sword and the Stone?
Yeah, dude, I love The Sword and the Stone. That was one of my favorites. Yeah, that King Arthur and Archimedes, the owl, and Merlin when he goes to Bermuda. That's a great movie.
I know.
Well done. Good call. That's just one of those ones that I think when you're talking about great Disney films of all time, just people forget to mention. They forget to mention that one. And did you ever see? There's a Robin Hood cartoon with foxes as the characters.
Yeah, I've seen that. That's
that
cool
one.
Too.
That and Sword of the Stone were mainstays in my parents' VCR when I was a kid.
Oh, great. That's great. So, Mark, our final question for you: what inspired you to be a movie critic?
It was really just one of those things where I moved out to Los Angeles to be a comedian, and that's what I still do today. And I think whenever you're a comic or you like performing and entertaining people, you want any outlet to be able to do that. And so when Christian and I started reviewing stuff, it wasn't necessarily to become movie critics. It just kind of evolved into that. And we're really happy about that because it has given us so many outlets to, build a great fan base in Schmoville and, to meet fellow film fans like you guys all over the world. And it came out of the fact that I love entertaining people, and I'm just a big camera whore. I just love being on camera. So any opportunity I get to do that, I'll take advantage of it. And it's always fun talking movies. And there's not a lot of critics out there that can just relate to normal people. I think sometimes they act a little too educated for their own good. And I'm a fairly smart guy, but I like being an average Joe, and that's what Schmoes Know is.
Cool.
So I hope that answered the question good enough.
That was beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Did I bring a tear to your eye?
Oh yes. So now we're gonna move on to our review of Monsters University.
Yeah, great. We've all seen it, and how did you guys just check it out, or have you seen it? Have you seen it for a while?
I've seen it. I saw it in June.
I saw it about a month ago.
Okay, yeah, I think it came out here in June, I want to say, but I'm pretty sure it came out in June in the States. But I'll shoot first. I liked the movie. I think I gave it 3.3 or something like that out of 5 schmoes. It was when I went to my crazy decimal system for that, and I liked the movie. It wasn't as funny as I wanted it to be. I wanted to laugh out loud more. But it's great seeing the guys in college, and I liked how I really felt like I was on the Monsters U campus the whole time. The movie did a good job of making me feel like I was there with the guys. So I dug it okay.
I loved it.
Yeah, it's my second favorite of the year so far.
Oh, great. Okay.
Did you see Despicable Me 2? Yeah, you did, right?
I did see Despicable Me 2, and I think I had them about rated about the same. Because again, I enjoyed both movies. I think Despicable Me 2, I liked just a hair more because the Minions in the Despicable Me movies just crack me up, and there was nothing that was like that in Monsters U that was just great for a go-to laugh every time. Because I don't like Monsters U as much as Monsters Inc., but I still like the movie.
I liked Monsters University better than Despicable Me 2, but I laughed more in Despicable Me 2 than I did in Monsters University. I just like the overall product of Monsters University a lot better. I think I teared up a lot more in Monsters University. It got a bit heartwarming times. But overall, I really, really love this movie. I think it's one of my top animated films. I'm a big fan of Pixar's work. I obviously think they did well with Cars 2, and I thought Brave was just okay. The setup for Brave I liked, but then when they got into the bear stuff, it kind of fell.
Yeah, once people start turning into bears, that's when I start thinking about leaving the theater.
But yeah, that bears, I hate bears. They eat you.
I love bears if I'm going to see a movie about bears, but I thought that Brave was gonna be more of a I just thought it was gonna be something different, but still you expect a lot from Pixar, and if they don't deliver a great movie, then you get a little disappointed.
It's false advertising. They didn't mention anything about bears in the trailer.
Yeah, I know, man. Come on, we're buying a ticket. Be honest with us. But you know what? The 3 redheaded brothers made me laugh so hard in that movie. They were so underused. I wanted them to be the focal point of the movie. After
Mark, can I just quickly ask you a question?
I think I got lost in Merida's hair.
Yeah, those are some impressive locks she's got.
Mark, can I quickly ask you a question?
Shoot,
Alright,
anything you want.
does it annoy you when animated movies for the family show their funniest bit in the trailer?
Yes, it does. Especially when it's a movie that kind of sells itself. And when you have like a Pixar movie, then people are going to get excited to see a Pixar movie regardless of what it's about. So you don't have to show us everything that's good about the trailer. It's the same thing with like if you see a trailer for the Avengers or for Batman, you don't need to show us anything in the trailer. You really don't. Like, we're going to go see the movie anyway. So you don't have to throw your best pitches at us in the first inning, you know? I mean, you can save some of that stuff. So it is disappointing, but, you know, by the same token, if a movie is only funny for 2 minutes that they show in the trailer, then it's, you know, it's not a good movie anyway. So I do hate when I get fooled by movie trailers, though, and it's getting harder to be able to tell what a good movie is from the trailer because trailers are so well made today. There's like most trailers are better than the movies that they're advertising, in my opinion.
All right, Mark. So we know what you're going to give Monsters University, but Josh, you fire.
I'm gonna give it
You go first.
4.5 out of 5 Flaming Tails.
I'm
What
going to
do
go
you think,
really...
Flaming
Tails?
Tails, because my YouTube name's
nice.
FlameTail23, so
Cool. I love it.
I'm gonna go really high, like really high. So we got that I'm going high. Yeah. Okay, 5 out of 5.
Wow, that is high.
I can't, I can't, you know, find anything bad about this film. Like, I can't, like, I don't know. I loved it.
Well, that's good, man. I mean, look, that's why, you know, they make movies, particularly Pixar movies. It's so that we feel, you know, good about ourselves, and especially I think that like Monsters U really is a great representation of what college life is like, and going to college or university and making that transition into, you know, being a kid from still having fun and also thinking about what your future holds. It's a really weird time to be, you know, alive. And Monsters U actually did a really good job of capturing that. And you guys made the point earlier that like that you may have laughed more at Despicable Me too, but Monsters U did have a lot of heart. So that's I'll give it credit for that.
Mark, would you see a Monsters 3, like if they made a third one? And where would you like it to go?
If they made a third one, I would like to see the way that they got into the incorporated business, and I'd like to like how they like the applying for a job, because if you're following these two characters through like their life's journey, then I would like to see how, you know, because everybody, if you go to college, then you get out of college and all of a sudden you need a job. And I'd like to see how they fell into working at the Monsters Inc. and how that worked. Or I'd kind of like to see them like as really old monsters, like about to retire, you know, like a grumpy old men situation where they're thinking about maybe putting in one more year or just going to a retirement home. Old monsters would be kind of fun to watch.
How about them going back to see Boo?
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool. Or them
Totally,
getting
yeah.
lost in the human world or something like that.
That's a great idea. Like, I like those characters enough that I'd be on board for a third movie.
yeah, Joe, you should write the script.
So, no.
I think you guys should write the script, and then I'll give it a favorable review. Even if I hate it, I'll lie and say I liked it.
I'd probably like. It'd probably help if I like writ the first two, like.
Yeah.
Like, but didn't Monsters University get a different writer and director?
I believe it did, yeah. I think that they had a new team behind it. Don't quote me on that because I'm not sure. But, I mean, again, it's like I think they were trying to get a sequel made for a while because it was such a successful movie. And then the timing was really good because, again, like we said, Brave wasn't everybody's favorite movie. And they needed a reliable franchise film to come out and just kind of restore the Pixar flagship a little bit. And so who better than Mike and Sully?
Wasn't Brave successful? I thought it...
Brave was successful. It just from a critical standpoint, I think that people were a little lukewarm to it because, I mean, again, Pixar had set the bar so high before that even if they only hit a double, it's still, you know, not as good as the previous movies.
Yeah, like, I guess like everybody expects like A. Like, they don't expect a C or a B or anything below an A from Pixar. And, like, it's kind of understandable how people get, a little bit not emotional, but, like, sad about how they might make a B movie or a
Yeah,
C movie or
because
something
there's such high
pretty bad,
standards,
like
so
Cars
that's
2.
the problem.
Yeah, but, like, I guess, like, DreamWorks, like, they've made terrible movies and, people still like them overall, and, they don't get as much crap if they make a bad movie as much as Pixar do. Like,
Yeah, because I think DreamWorks just doesn't quite have the legacy. Like, even every time you see a DreamWorks animated movie, I'm like, oh, that was good, but it wasn't as good as a Pixar movie. Like,
exactly.
I really like the
Except
Shrek
for How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah, How to Train Your Dragon, and then there's a second one coming out too, right?
Yep, next year.
Yeah. So that's that's one of the most universally loved movies of the last decade.
Yeah, it was great. All right, so Mark, have you
Yes.
picked your bad movie? Can I take a guess at what it is?
Sure. What do you think the bad movie that I want to vent about is?
Howard the Duck.
Oh man, you know what? Yeah, let's talk about Howard the Duck. Let's talk about that duck bastard.
No,
Have you guys seen it?
Yes, I have,
so-
unfortunately.
One of you've seen it, one of you hasn't. Howard the Duck is you know what? It's a bad movie, but it's an enjoyable bad movie. And what I mean by that is, like, you can appreciate
Batman and Robin.
how bad it was. Batman and Robin. I would rather watch Howard the Duck 5 times than Batman and Robin.
Joe, I'd rather be stuck in a room watching AVP2 Requiem, trying to get out of a Saw death trap. Yeah, well, that's it.
Then watch what, Batman and Robin? Yeah, Batman and Robin is Batman Forever was one of the most disappointing probably moments in my childhood, because I was so excited for that movie. Like, we got out of school that week and we all headed to the movie theater to see Batman Forever. Our parents dropped us off, and man, I was just sitting in that theater like, what the hell happened to Batman? This is awful. And then Batman and Robin was like 10 times worse than that.
I thought they portrayed the Riddler very well, or maybe it was just Jim Carrey's performance which made the Riddler so good. But
yeah, I love Jim Carrey. Like, I'm a monster Jim Carrey fan.
what do you think of him not advertising Kick-Ass 2? What do you think of that?
I think that a lot of times comedians have a very kind of dark side and a crazy side that you don't always see. But with Jim Carrey, it's been, I think that he's a very isolated dude, and sometimes that can drive you a little stir crazy. And I didn't think it was the right decision, but he knew what he was getting into with the script. And if tragic events happen, then it's a terrible, terrible thing. But, like, I agree with what Chloe Moretz said, is that she said that she's a child and she can tell the difference between reality and a fictional film. So everybody should be able to do that who sees the movie. I mean, there's a reason why Kick-Ass 2 is rated R, but, I was really just bummed that Jim Carrey didn't promote it.
Has he not seen Kick-Ass?
Yeah, I know. It's like I get that he had filmed it and then some stuff went down in real life, but I didn't think it was the right play to make. But I will always respect an artist's decision. If they don't want to promote the film, then that's their right. And he probably lost a lot of money not doing it. There's probably some things in the contract that said, we're not paying you this if you don't support it with doing this. But it's his decision, and I think it probably hurt the movie a little bit, but. It didn't. It wasn't
that successful over in the USA. Like,
it
only made like 20 million.
It surprised the heck out of me that it didn't do better. Especially because Jim Carrey not promoting it inadvertently gave that movie a lot of publicity anyway, because people were talking about why isn't Jim Carrey promoting it. So the movie still got its name out there.
Yeah, what I'm confused about though is that Kick-Ass 2 is actually less violent than Kick-Ass 1. But,
yeah.
Uh-oh. Do we get caught?
Kick-Ass 2 was a lot funnier than the first one.
I liked it a lot, man. I thought Kick-Ass 2 was a really, really good movie. I enjoyed the heck
We've
out of
kind
it.
of gone on a little tangent.
All right, let's get back to Howard the Duck.
All right, nobody got in trouble there? Nobody got
No.
busted by their parents right there?
No, we're good.
It sounded dicey for a minute.
We're good. We're fine. Yeah.
We're good? All right. Yeah, so Howard the Duck. Howard the Duck is a movie that I saw when I rented it when I was a little kid, and I watched it, and I thought it was hilarious the first time I saw it because I laughed at the first half hour and then I fell asleep, and I woke up and I was like, man, that was such a funny first half hour. The rest of the movie's got to be great, and that was when I realized how bad of a movie it truly is.
Wasn't it like produced by George Lucas?
It was directed by George Lucas. It was like,
Oh wow.
yeah, he had done, Return of the Jedi had come out in 1983, and then Howard the Duck was 1986, and so it's, George Lucas was involved in the Indiana Jones films, but then that was like the next big directorial thing. It was a comic book before it was a movie, and yeah, Lucas that was the first sign. It's like, oh, George Lucas, he's immortal. Not everything he does turns to gold, and he's had a few missteps since then, but I still love the guy for creating Star Wars.
Yeah. All right. So, Mark, what was your bad movie?
The one I was going to pick is one from this year, and I was going to go with A Good Day to Die Hard, Die Hard 5.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yep.
Did you guys both see it?
Guess what though?
Yep.
It is. Let me tell you something. As a huge fan of Die Hard since the moment I saw it, there was flashes of it feeling kind of like a Die Hard movie, and those lasted maybe 20 seconds combined. Everything else in that movie just was such a stupid, over the top, bad Michael Bay action scene movie, and it really had a chance to be, to restore the Die Hard name to prominence, and it
What
just
I
fell
don't
flat
get
on its
though.
face.
Alright, Joe, you go first.
Mark.
Yeah.
Josh likes the Transformers
I don't love
movies.
him anymore. I will admit.
No,
Seriously.
you're lying.
I heard that Josh was a fan of the Transformers movies, and look, I think the Transformers movies are probably more watchable than Die Hard 5, simply because you do get to see great, incredible special effects with the Transformers, and the action scenes in that movie disappoint me more than anything else, just because it gets really hard to tell what's going on and who's, what robots are fighting who else, and I wish that those movies were a lot better, because there's such a high ceiling for a Transformers franchise to just be great. But I can understand enjoying going to the movies and enjoying
I
a
grew up with
Transformers
them
film. There's
though,
nothing
that's
wrong
the
with
thing.
that.
I'm not like, I don't like date back to the 80s obviously, but yeah, I have all 4 of the seasons of Generation 1, watched them a lot when I was a kid. And there's one thing that I don't get though, is that with Die Hard 5, it was rated R in America, wasn't it?
Die Hard 5, I think it was,
Yeah,
no, I
over
think it was
here
PG-13.
it's like PG-13 as well. When it came out on DVD though, they upped like the age rating, which I don't get.
Oh,
That's
really?
what they
Yeah,
did. That's what they did to Scary Movie 5 over here.
they upped it once it
But,
came out on Blu-ray and DVD.
Yeah, but
I
who's gonna
actually
buy
went
Scary
in-
Movie 5
saw,
anyway?
I saw a
It's
person
terrible.
in the shop pick it up on Blu-ray. They were like, "Oh my god, this is gonna be the best movie ever." I literally said, "Stop, think what you're gonna do. Do you want to kill yourself?" And then they said no, and I said, "Put that film back then."
Hey, you're doing the Lord's work as a movie critic out and about the town. It's your job to
Yeah.
make sure people go see good movies.
We unite. The UK, the USA, and
Absolutely,
Australia.
man. Literally all across the world.
I was shaking. Okay, when I saw someone actually buy the Transformers trilogy.
I have all 3 of them anyway, not on Blu-ray, regular DVD. But yeah.
Are you
Yeah,
kidding me?
That's a
How-
tough That's a tough purchase for me, is buying all three of the Transformers movies. I wouldn't mind catching one for 20 minutes when it's on TV, but I can't put my good hard-earned coin to a merchant and get Transformers in return and think that's a good trade.
All right, well then, Mr. Mark Ellis. So.
Yeah, look, it's been really fun getting to. Thanks for letting me do the show, guys. I appreciate it. And if you guys want a bad movie that you can research, it might be hard to find. You might be able to check it out on like YouTube clips or something like that. But do yourselves a favor. It's my favorite terrible movie of all time, and it came out in 1979, I think, and it's called Planet of the Dinosaurs.
Okay.
Planet of the Dinosaurs. Make sure you check it out, watch it, and then the next time I do the show, we can talk about that, because it is so much fun to watch how bad this movie is. You're gonna love it.
Okay then. Just by the IMDb poster, it looks terrible.
And dude, it's even worse than the poster. I promise you. It's so hilariously awful, and that's what I like to do sometimes. So, it's easy to recommend a good movie. It's hard to recommend a really bad good movie, or a good bad movie, I guess.
All right, well, thank you,
For coming on.
Mr. Mark
We really
Ellis.
appreciate it, man, for taking time out of your day to be with us for this short time.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for going undercover. I appreciate it, and enjoy your respective day, and get some sleep if you're in the 4 a.m. time zone. All right, guys. Check me out on schmoesknow.com is the website, and again, I look forward to talking with you guys soon.
Thank you.
All right, thank
Don't
you.
forget to rate, comment, and subscribe and share. Wait, what? Wait.
People. That was Mark Ellis, people.
Subscribe.
That's a wrap. But we'll get... Okay, so we'll start off with the questions. Alright, so Mark, what has been your favourite summer movie this year?
Great opening question, gentlemen. For the summer, I would have to say we actually just released our top 10 favorite movies of the summer on my website, schmoesknow.com, like each member of our podcast did. And it was really cool to see how many different movies people liked and didn't like, and who was on what list. For me, my favorite movie was Elysium, man. It came in late in August, and it just had everything that I want to see in not just a summer movie, but a movie in general. Like, the sci-fi elements were great, the action was awesome, and it had a little bit of social commentary, but I don't think it went over the top with that. So I thought it was a perfect blend of everything. Did you guys get a chance to see that yet?
No. It isn't out here yet.
We're still buddies.
I'm friends with Mark Ellis. Yay!
Welcome to the club. It's very exclusive.
Yes.
I'm not sure if you would have this, but this is kind of an out of the blue question, but what's your favorite movie of all time? Like, a lot of people don't have one, and...
Yeah, I mean, when you ask somebody their favorite movie of all time, it's funny. You ask them, hey, what is your favorite movie ever? And they always give you a list of like 20 movies. And you're like, okay, narrow it down to one. Like, my favorite movie of all time is, depending on what day it is, it's one of the Star Wars films from the original trilogy. Like,
oh, nice. Yeah.
Some days I wake up and it's Empire. Usually, more often than not, it's actually Return of the Jedi is my favorite movie of all time. So when I answer that question, I always say, if you're asking me for my favorite non-Star.
Hello guys, and welcome to this week's Nostalgia Film Podcast. This week I'm joined by Joseph Akers and the one, the only, Mark Ellis.
Mark Ellis is in the room, people.
It's good to be here with you guys, and the nostalgia thing makes sense, because I remember when I used to try to stay up after my parents went to bed, I'd try to stay up to watch Eddie Murphy Raw on Showtime, and if I made a sound, then I was going to get grounded. So I can sympathize with you a little bit.
Thanks. Yeah, I have to be extremely quiet because I've been threatened by my mum. She said she's going to throw my laptop out the window if she catches me. So, anyway, Joe, what are we going to be doing this episode?
We're going to be asking questions to Mark, and then we're going to be reviewing Monsters University and a bad film. So quite a short episode.
It is out here, but obviously over here we have different age ratings to you guys over there. So like, I'm not actually old enough to go and see it, but I will try and watch it online.
You're not old enough to see it yet.
No, I wanted
Okay,
it.
well.
I saw Kick-Ass 2 on the internet, but
We probably shouldn't be saying that on the internet either. I like Kick-Ass 2 a lot, actually. Like, August was a good month for me watching movies. I liked a lot of movies that came out in August, but Elysium takes the cake.
Did you see After Earth, Mark?
I did see After Earth, and I'd be interested to hear your guys' opinion on it, because I was one of the very few people that enjoyed watching that movie. I actually gave it a fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes. I liked them. I didn't love it, but I thought it was a good movie.
Mark?
Uh-oh.
I think it's one of the worst movies of all time.
yeah, I have to agree with Joe on that one.
Well,
It was so boring.
But then again, me and Joe aren't a big fan of the movie Avatar, so
yeah, I liked Avatar. I hung in for a while. Avatar, to me, like, I don't care how big and, like, effects heavy and epic adventure-y your movie is. If it's too long, it's too long. And the last half hour of Avatar, I just got sick of it. I just felt like I was watching, like, one of my, when you're watching your friend play a video game and it just gets boring after a while. Like, that's how I felt watching the end of Avatar. But After Earth, I thought, was like a cool survivalist kind of adventure. I mean, it wasn't Castaway by any stretch of the imagination, but it was, I dug it.
Fair enough.
I can kind of understand why you did, though. But I didn't really like it. But
No, good, man. You should have your opinions. I'm glad we could have our first fight.